Do you want to go gray quickly and gracefully? Well, then this is definitely not the video for you. This video is for you if you are ready and eager to go gray, but you do not want to cut your hair short and you do not want to pour any more chemicals on your head. This is also the video for you if you might feel traumatized by the idea of going gray quickly and you need a little time to get used to the idea of being a gray-haired woman. In other words, this video is all about going gray cold turkey with long hair, and it's personally my favorite method of going gray. Hi, I'm Katie Emery, the founder of KatieGoesPlatinum.com, a website completely devoted to the topic of gray hair. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm super happy to have you here today. Today, I'm going to give you my top tips for going gray cold turkey from long dyed hair. I did it myself 5 years ago, and I can honestly say that I loved every minute of it. However, it is definitely not a great method for everybody. It takes a certain kind of temperament, but for many of us, it is the best way to go gray. So I'm going to discuss why and how to go gray cold turkey from long hair, and I'll also give you some tips on how to enjoy your transition as much as I enjoyed mine. Before we get started, I did want to ask if you like this content, if you find it helpful, fun, or informative, please do give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Thanks. The idea of going gray over a period of years drives some people crazy. They don't like the idea of doing that themselves, and therefore they don't think anybody should do it. But it is a totally legitimate way of going gray, and here are some of the reasons that you might consider it. You prefer the way you look with long hair, and you can't bear the idea of cutting off your hair just to go gray. You are sick and tired of spending all that time and money dyeing your hair and chasing your roots. You are worried about using potentially toxic chemicals on your scalp. You have developed a sudden allergy to hair dye. You have very damaged hair, and you don't want to take a chance on doing any further damage to your hair with more chemical treatments. And finally, you would feel traumatized by the idea of going gray quickly, and you need a little time to get used to the idea of being a woman with gray hair. For a lot of us, it's a combination of all of those reasons, or it might even just be one. So how do I know all of this? Because this is the method I chose for myself when I decided to go gray 5 years ago at the age of 50. I really strongly identified as a green-eyed brunette. That was a huge part of who I was as a person, but I was so sick and tired of dyeing my hair. I couldn't stand to do it one more minute. I was having allergies to the dye, my scalp was itchy and burning when I used the dye, and I also knew that I could not bear the idea of having short hair. I had short hair as a child, and it did not look good on me. I tried it again as an adult once or twice, and just doesn't suit my face shape. And I knew my personality, and if I not only cut my hair short, which did not suit me, but I also went gray quickly when I was so identified as being a brunette, those two things combined would have sent me over the edge, and I know myself, and I would have headed straight back to the dye bottle, even though I was so tired of doing it. So I chose to go gray the long way, and it took me 2.5 years, and believe me, it took the entire 2.5 years to get used to the idea of the new me and stop missing the old me. Even though I liked the transition and I was eager to do it, it still took that time, so you might feel the same. And it was fun. Honestly, it was fun seeing your hair change over time. It was like a science experiment, but you're the subject. On top of the physical transformation, it was also a mental and emotional transformation. Honestly, it felt a lot like being a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. I was shedding the old me and becoming the new me, and it was thrilling to experience, and it created a whole bunch of other emotional changes, not just physical, that I really enjoyed. It was like feeling rebellious again, like being a teenager again, trying something new, being somebody new. It's like when you go to college and you can put your high school self behind. It was cool and it was fun, and I highly recommend it. It's a truly transformative experience that's a bit hard to describe, but I can tell you honestly, the feeling of euphoria and liberation that I felt when I was going through this has lasted me since it started. I still feel great. Now, I'm going to link to an article in the show notes, and I'll try to link it up top too, but it's all about all the different emotional and physical changes that happen when you go gray. It's not just from my perspective, it's from a number of my readers as well, and it's one of the most popular articles on my site. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Okay, so we've already discussed why to go gray cold turkey with long hair, but let's talk about the how to do it. Before we discuss that, can you please hop on down to the comment section and let me know why you might be thinking about going gray cold turkey with long hair, or if you already did so, let us know what you thought about it and why you recommend it or don't recommend it. Thanks so much. Okay, let's get back to the how. The how is quite easy. Just stop dyeing your hair. Honestly, can it get any easier than that? The answer is no. But once you stop dyeing your hair, there are some dramatic changes that will happen over time, and we're gonna go through those. And let me tell you, the darker your hair, the more dramatic the effect of these changes will be on your hair and your appearance. Number one, your gray roots will grow out and you will develop a skunk stripe, which is also known as a demarcation line. And as I said earlier, the darker your hair, the more dramatic that skunk stripe will be. Number two, the hair that is still dyed will fade over time. Do yourself a favor and don't try to force the fading. I did that and all I ended up with was half a head of bright orange Bozo the Clown hair. I do not recommend it. Number three, your hair will then turn calico. In other words, you'll sport a lovely combination of different colors of hair at the same time. You'll have your gray roots, you'll have your fading dye, and it might be multicolored depending on what your hair color was or how you dyed it. For example, my hair grew out in stripes at first because I had been trying to save money, so sometimes I went to the hairdresser and got a salon dye, and then in between dye jobs, I would touch it up with box dye. So you can see in this picture I'm going to put up where it's like the rings of a tree. As the hair grew out, I had the box dye fading quickly and the salon dye did not fade as quickly, and then I had my gray roots. You also might find that there is more of your natural hair color left than you realized. As my gray hair grew out, I realized I also had a lot of naturally black or dark brown hair mixed in with my gray roots. That was a big surprise to me. So in other words, you're gonna have a multicolored head of hair. Many of us, including me, found this part of the grow out hilarious, but for some of you, it might sound more upsetting than anything else. If that's the case, this method of going gray might not be for you. Don't worry, there are alternative ways for you to go gray with no demarcation line and without cutting your hair short. I just did a video all about that, which I will link to at the end of this video. Make sure to stick around and watch that one. It has a lot of great tips. Number four, your roots will continue to grow out over time until eventually all you have left is dyed hair on the ends, and you will just cut those dyed ends off when your gray roots get to the length that you desire. How long this takes depends on how quickly your hair grows and how long you want your final length of silver hair to be. Now, I found out while I was going gray cold turkey that my hair grows faster than average. For example, the average is half an inch a month. My hair grows 3/4 of an inch a month. Even though my hair grows faster than average, it still took me 2.5 years to grow my gray roots out to shoulder length. I was fine with that. That was enough time for me. That was the right time for me. For some of you, that might sound like too long. Now, for those of you who have waist-length hair and you want to grow out your gray roots to the waist, that might take 4 years or more. It really depends on how quickly your hair grows. Now, you might find as you do this process that you get impatient and you want to speed it up, and there's no shame in doing that. I thought I would keep my hair shoulder length the whole time, but my dyed ends were so damaged and so dry. When I saw my silver growth coming in and it was shiny and smooth and looked so healthy, I couldn't bear to see those really damaged roots anymore. So I found myself cutting it more and more, and I eventually cut it into a graduated bob. And that way I was able to be fully gray in the back actually before I was in the front. So you might find that you don't want to keep your hair as long as you thought you would. It's totally up to you. Okay, I've covered how and why to go gray cold turkey with long hair, and now I'm going to discuss all the ways to make sure that you can enjoy this transition so that you don't find yourself quitting in frustration. Now make sure you stay to the end for some serious advice about the one major downside to this method. It's very important that you hear it. The number one way to enjoy the cold turkey long hair method is to embrace your skunk stripe. Don't fear it. Have fun with it. Get a kick out of it. The Grand Bray look can be super cool, and many of us find that we actually miss it once our two-toned hair goes away. It might take a bit of an attitude adjustment, but if you can find a way to enjoy the skunk stripe, I can tell you right now that this transition will be much easier for you. Now I'm going to put up some pictures of skunks. I want you to look at them and see how darn cute they are. Nobody criticizes their looks. Everybody finds them adorable, except for dogs getting sprayed in the face by them, but that's a whole other story. But they are cute. Mother Nature thinks they're cute. I think they're cute. I hope you think they're cute too. And if you can find yourself looking cute with this method, then you will have such an easier time. Make sure to look at lots of pictures of transitioning hair so you can learn how to find the beauty in it. I have a number of pictures of this type of hair on my blog, and you can also join Instagram Instagram and check out some transition pictures there. Believe me, I had to do it myself. It took me a second to get used to the idea of the beauty of transitioning hair, and once I did, I was all in, and I bet you will be too. However, if you still want to do this method, but the skunk stripe really bothers you, there are ways to cover it up. You can crisscross your part, you can wear wigs or toppers, and you can wear hats or headbands. You do not have to just live with the skunk stripe if you don't want to. You can even do what my friend Jonie did. She wanted to keep the skunk stripe, but she did not like her fading ends, so she just went to her hairdresser and she had them only dye the ends. Now you still are putting chemicals on your hair, but it's not touching your scalp, so it should be safer. The idea of doing that never even occurred to me, but now that I know about it, if I was going gray cold turkey with long hair again, I think I probably would do that. And you don't have to stick just to dark brown colors or whatever your dyed hair color was. You can even go with purple and green or whatever fun color you want. Have fun with it. It will help you enjoy it for sure. Number 2, don't fret too much about products. When you first start letting your hair go gray, you do not need to worry about products. Just use any products you already are using that still work well for your hair. If you have products that you already like, just continue to use them until they no longer suit you or until they run out, and then you can start looking into gray-friendly products. I will put a link in the show notes of some of the products I recommend, and I also have another video I did recently all about my favorite products, and that will have some tips for you too. Now, hot tip, the one product that you might need right from the beginning if you are a dark brunette is blue shampoo. Basically, what blue shampoo does is it neutralizes the brassy tones in fading dyed brunette hair. So as your dyed brunette hair fades, it might take on brassy orange tones, and that can drive some people crazy. It definitely drove me crazy. But the blue shampoo, use it once a week, and it will neutralize the brassy orangeness, is that a word? And it will make your hair look brunette again on the dyed part. I'll put a link in the show notes below all about blue shampoo. There is definitely a method to using it that is not always clear on the bottle, so check out those resources to find out how I recommend using it. I mentioned earlier that I tried fading my hair myself, which I did with clarifying shampoo. I do not recommend that method. It really dried out my hair and turned my fading dyed ends a brassy orange. At first, the blue shampoo helped, but towards the end of my transition, nothing helped. It was not great. I looked like Bozo the Clown. I learned to live with it and laugh about it, but I don't recommend doing it. Just let your hair fade naturally and use a blue shampoo on your brunette fading hair if you feel the need. You don't have to. It's totally up to you. I highly recommend you try experimenting with braids and buns to have some fun with your transitioning hair. I have to tell you, nothing looks cooler than seeing cold turkey long hair braided because the patterns are incredible. I'm going to share some photos up here with you so you can see them. I am not great at braiding myself, so I didn't do it a whole lot, but I wish I could have, because these ladies who do these French braids and buns, they looked amazing and they got a kick out of it, and everybody else enjoyed them too. To really enjoy and get a kick out of your cold turkey long hair transition, I highly recommend you take a ton of transition photos. I can't even tell you how many photos I have in my camera roll from that time. But as I said earlier, it's like a science experiment, so it's fun to see the changes over time. It also helps you track how your hair's doing, how quickly your hair grows, and it also helps you remember what not to do, for example, with me with the clarifying shampoo fading process. Now, I am right in the middle of creating a transition journal to share with all of you, but I'm not finished with it yet. When I am done with it, come back to this video and look in the show notes. There will be a link to it, hopefully in the next couple months. Now, not all of you might like social media, but I highly recommend, if you do, to start an Instagram account to record your transition. It's a great way to meet other women who are going through this. It's an awesome means of support. I don't think I could have gotten through the first few months without it, since none of my friends were going gray except for one, and she's the one who told me about the Instagram support network. And you can make your posts public. I highly recommend that, because if you don't, you won't be getting feedback from other women going through this. The only downside is I didn't realize there's a fetish for gray hair, and you might get some creepy messages, but Instagram has gotten a lot better in the past few years at helping you filter those out. The other upside to creating an Instagram account about your gray hair is that it shows other women this is okay to do this. You are not going to die when you go gray. You are not going to look instantly elderly when you go gray. You can look beautiful and you can have fun, and it's empowering. You don't know how many women that you are going to influence by doing this. Just remember, stay to the end so I can tell you about the one major downside to this method, because so far it's all been wonderful that I've been telling you fun stuff, but there is one downside. Okay, before we get to that downside, I'm going to tell you to sit back and enjoy the transformation that is taking place. Because many of us, myself included, find that it's not just a physical transformation, but also an emotional one. And once you let these barriers down that we've been raised to be afraid of gray hair, that going gray is going to be terrible, it's going to look bad, we're going to look old, or we're going to lose our job, and none of those things happen, it makes you start looking at your life and thinking, what other fears do I have that are holding me back? What else in my life can change that will be a good thing and not a bad thing? I think you'll find that this is one of the most transformative and liberating experiences that you'll have. And it's not just me. If you read that article that I mentioned earlier that I'll post below about surprising truths about going gray, many women find the same. The gray hair transition catapulted them into making other changes in their life that were healthy and good. And I hope that happens to you too. Now let's talk about the downside. Okay, going gray cold turkey has one major downside. It will make certain people in your life or in your online world go absolutely bonkers. These kinds of people cannot fathom why anybody would go gray using this method, and they will let you know it. They are either anti-gray hair and they can't imagine why anybody would go gray, especially with long hair, or they are pro-gray hair, but they think it's absolutely insane that you would not want to just go to a salon and transition to gray hair quickly, or why you would not just cut it all off and have short hair. And I cannot tell you how many comments I got from women in gray hair support groups who were questioning me why I didn't just go cut it all off. Even when I wrote in my post that I was enjoying going gray this method and I liked it and it was suitable for me, they will tell you, and they are very vocal about it. It's maddening, and it's something that you will have to develop a thick skin so that you don't get offended. Having a support network and feeling confident in your own choice will give you a Teflon coating that will let rude remarks and cutting comments just slide right off. If you feel good about your choice to go gray and the way you chose to go gray, nothing can hurt you. It's like a superpower, and I hope you use it. Now, as promised, if you don't think this method's going to work for you, I want you to head on over to my recent video all about how to go gray gracefully with no demarcation line. In that video, I present a lot of alternatives that might be more suitable for you, and I hope you enjoy it. And whatever you do, please do not forget to hit the like and subscribe, and hit the little alarm bell so that you can get notified every time I make a new video. Hope to see you here again soon. Thanks a bunch.